6.5%, was it? Is that what the current odds are of the Stanley Cup?
Well, and if you look at the round-by-round progression, the Stanley Cup favorite is the Vancouver Canucks.
Like, what a time to be alive!
Talking you through every goalie controversy, scoring slump, and draft lottery bust, this is the C4 Podcast on CanucksHockeyBlog.com. Here they are, the best starting lineup we could afford under the salary cap. Chris, Matt, Anna, and Adam.
Welcome to another episode of the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast, brought to you by the Full Press Coverage Network and CanucksHockeyBlog.com. By the by, coming to you a day early, too. That's kind of surreal. Joined virtually, as always, by Anna Forsyth at A4Forsyth03. You might know her as the irreplaceable co-host, who I am attempting to replace for a handful of weeks. Welcome, Anna.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I mean, irreplaceable, interim guest host. What's going to happen? It's definitely the theme of the day, right?
Yeah, those who you thought could never be replaced could be, and here we are. Yet, I haven't replaced you quite yet. You're still on the show, which is also a prelude to what may or may not be happening in the grand scheme of things. We don't know. I don't know if we actually talked about it on the last episode, but we did say that you were going to be going to the game against the Kings Monday night. And you and I chatted about, okay, when should we record? Should we record before the game, like early afternoon on Monday? Because we normally record Monday nights. And then we came and settled on, let's record on Sunday.
Yep.
Little did we know that we would be recording not only when there may or may not be changes that may or may not have happened or be happening to people of some stature within the Vancouver Canucks organization, but there's Twitter spaces galore. You got Uncle's space. You got Pawn has a space. Sakaris and Price are doing a live podcast hit. You've got 650 bringing the hosts in. It's a Sunday evening when everyone should be sitting down at the dinner table watching an episode of Yellowstone on the Time Shift channel.
Yeah, it's crazy for sure. And a little quick hat tip to James Saborski and friend of the show, Chris Faber, for continuing to broadcast the Abbotsford Canucks game and not getting too distracted by the changes around them.
Well, I mean, the fact that Jack Rathbone has not come back in the third period is likely meaning he's the new president of hockey operations here in Vancouver, right?
Could be.
So we're going to get into a lot of that. We will. Our episodes, as you, our listeners, know, generally start off with rewind, and then we get into half full, half empty. And our plan is to talk about everything that is happening, some of the breaking news in half full, half empty, but a little look out of the bag. Right now, as we are recording, word on the street is that Travis Green is out, Bruce Boudreau is in, Nolan Baumgartner out, and Scotty Walker in. Not officially confirmed, but enough people who know what they're talking about are saying that this is true.
We're pretty sure.
And if you're a member of C4 Discord, we have had this conversation about why would you go in and bring in a permanent coach without bringing in changes to the front office, which will inevitably occur. I had said, would it be surreal if the Vancouver Canucks were paying two coaches not to coach for them? Because Travis got an extension, and you can't imagine Bruce Boudreau is cheap. Well, see, change is still afoot. And while yet to be confirmed, it is pretty apparent that the Canucks front office is also going to look a lot different. Maybe by the time our show is complete. So we'll get into that. We'll share our thoughts in half full, half empty. But let's take a moment to rewind and see how we got to where we are. When we last recorded a show, the Vancouver Canucks were having a heck of a road trip.
Yeah. I mean, they had won one game, right? They'd beaten the Habs.
Okay. Sure. But prior to that, it had been a heck of a road trip, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny, Canucks had a brutal homestand, 7-game homestand longest of the season, still found it impossible to win. You almost welcome coming on the road, but then, no, it's just Canucks losing at more inconvenient times.
Yeah. But the game against the Ottawa Senators on the Wednesday, the Vancouver Canucks, they made a statement. They beat the living daylights out of the Sens 6-2. So that to me, that's a proven winner right there in Ottawa. And the Canucks showed they were up to task to not only beat the team, but beat the team handily.
I mean, 2 wins in a row. Winning streak.
Well, that's right, you know. The streak is actually after 3 games.
Yeah, I know.
If you win 2 games, you've won 2 in a row. But when you win 3, that's a streak. It has been known to happen. So the Canucks did not, however, find themselves on a winning streak. They only won 2 in a row. There was some belief that the Vancouver Canucks in winning those games against Montreal and Ottawa had settled down things within the organization.
Or at least bought some time for a struggling coach and leadership unit.
And, you know, I mentioned this on the last episode. I had said if changes are going to occur, they were going to occur on Friday afternoon. Bad news Friday. And I think you would ask, well, what if they win? And I had said, no, if they win, I still think change was going to happen on the Friday. I truly thought that was what was going to be the case. And so when it didn't, I just presumed, hey, things were safe until the holidays. Now, the Pittsburgh Penguins, I've heard they're a good team. I mean, I'm not so certain, but I have heard they're a good team.
I mean, listen, they're not in their heyday, but they're still a decent team.
Mm-hmm. And so they come into Vancouver, and for the first period, Vancouver holds their own. Hey, this is a team that has confidence. They're playing well now. There's some structure. Yeah, don't mind the fact they've scored only 1 goal on, like, was it 6 shots or something? While Pittsburgh to this point has put up like 15 or 16, got their 1 goal. But hey, you've seen what Demko has done. But
I mean, Demko's still trying. He's trying to keep it afloat.
It was so. I mean, this is the part that I struggle with. I knew what the Vancouver Canucks were doing was not sustainable. So when they found themselves in just a wee bit of penalty trouble there in the second period.
That's one way to put it. I mean, did we or did we not say last episode that if you're going to be ill-disciplined, you need the penalty kill to back it up? Which Canucks do not have.
Well, okay. Let's be honest. The Canucks could have had a phenomenal penalty kill.
Yeah.
But when you've got 3 players in the box, that doesn't bode well for you.
I mean, it means I got to explain to my roommate who's trying to learn hockey, like, about stacking penalties. I was like, it finally happened. This is how it goes.
So the first call, I'm like, Second call, I'm like, oh my. And then when the puck went out over the glass, I just started laughing.
I mean, let's be honest, like, Tyler Myers, I would say he had a mad moment, but he has so many. But I don't know what he was thinking. Like, he full on made a desperation play when he had time and closed his hand on the puck.
I know, and that's like...
and then the Tyler Mott call, I would say, was, like, that was questionable for sure. That was a selling job.
Oh, yeah, sorry. That's where I got confused. Yeah, Myers... If Myers wants to get away with that, he puts his hand on the puck and he, moves his arm in one single direction. He doesn't move it around like he's playing a knight on a chessboard.
Yeah.
And then throw the puck. But the thing about this though is that, the Mott penalty against Letang, you don't put yourself in a position where a player can sell the penalty like that. And I genuinely wonder if the referees may have looked to try to get that one back, had it not been for the fact that Tucker Pullman, in fairness, didn't necessarily plan on this happening, I'm certain, fires the puck over the glass. Because at that point, it's a weird situation. You can't really even that up when you've got the stacked penalty.
And you can't, I mean, what choice do they have but to call that?
Yeah, I mean, that one sucked. Like, it was just like, that's why I was laughing. But, Vancouver not only gives up a goal, they give up two during this sequence. And, at that point, it was like, oh, that's all she wrote. Like, I had no faith that the Vancouver Canucks were going to get back into this game. I truly didn't. And it's not like they were down significantly. They're only down by two. But it just, you could see the team as just like the air completely came out of them. And when Sid scores his goal in the third midway through, I mean, that was a done deal. It did, however, set up for some fan engagement opportunity.
Fan engagement opportunity. I love it. That's a great way of putting it. Yeah, that was certainly a fan engaging directly with the product on the ice by throwing their product onto the ice.
Yeah, it was okay. I've seen this happen before. Someone actually tweeted out let's actually talk about this briefly. If you have something that you want to throw on the ice, I could care less. You're making a choice that affects you. Yeah, it affects the game. Okay, I shouldn't say it just affects you. But you've made a choice, and you yourself understand that there's probably some repercussions. Like, if you throw something on the ice and they see you do that, you're not going to a game probably in the foreseeable future, if ever. That's a choice you make, but it's one that you have to understand you live with. I'm not too outraged that the jersey got thrown on the ice. Would I do it? No, because, to be honest, I just throw it in the closet. I paid good money for
dollars,
that.
Yeah.
Right? I don't like hat tricks. I'm not the guy throwing the hat on the ice. Someone actually chastised me once. Why don't you throw your hat on the ice? Because it's my hat.
Yeah, I mean, Sewell was saying the same thing during the Abbey Canucks game with the Hattie there on, I guess that was Friday. And he was just he just showed his age a little bit by saying, hats are expensive. Don't throw your hat. But yeah,
he and I are probably the same age.
Yeah. No, I know. So. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Maybe the person throwing the jersey, though, to be fair, just thought it was a thing. Like, people throw hats. People throw jerseys, put together a whole outfit.
Yeah, it's not the first time it's happened in a hockey game. It's not the first time it's happened in Vancouver. But the point being is that the jersey was thrown on the ice. And that, if anything, is an expression of displeasure or maybe misunderstanding as to custom. Let's say it was their first game. They'd never been there before. And they saw, oh, you throw your hats on the ice after a goal. So at the end of the game, do I throw my jersey on?
Yeah, maybe that's
Dumoulin doing a solid giving it back, though. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean...
Oh, did you mistakenly throw this over the clubs?
Yeah, let me give it back to you. If I was the Penguins, obviously wouldn't have missed the opportunity to dunk.
Yeah. But the other fan engagement opportunity that took place was a chant. And I don't know how one goes and hides such a chant because it was loud. I heard it when I was listening on TV. You could tell they were possibly, and I'm not going to say they were for certain, but they were changing levels. The building level sort of dropped a bit, but then no impact to the broadcast voice. And they obviously, Cheech acknowledged that there was a chant. Did you listen to the 650 clip though?
No, I didn't. So I actually missed the end of the game because I went out to a gig. I was listening to something else, a little more tuneful, but yeah.
So on 650, Batch and Hirsch, they're like, well, you can clearly hear what's being said. And Hirsch is like, yep. And there's silence as it's the fire Benny.
Yeah, I'm surprised they even let that happen. I mean, I'm sure Corey Hirsch would take it back, but when he said a couple of weeks ago, oh, I want to keep my job, that was a bit of a cringe moment.
Yeah, well.
But yeah.
The reality is that, fan sentiment had become such that an event like this could take place. Now, rewind even further, the last time such a fan engagement opportunity took place in the building where a member of the organization was encouraged to be let go, the letting of go took place the following day. So
the letting of go. Yeah.
I'm banging them tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Gillis was out of a job the following day, and as we now seem to see, so is Benning.
Yeah.
And color me shocked that, well, one, it didn't happen on Friday, but two, that the family decided to make the change.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it before, right? If there was no pandemic, Jim Benning wouldn't have lasted this long, and one of those reasons was because
the mirage.
Well, yeah, the mirage of the bubble playoffs, and like you couldn't get past that crowd. Like last year, if there were fans in the building,
oh, it would have been brutal.
It would have been brutal. Like, there's no way Benning would be have had a job to start the season if there'd been fans in the building.
You know, I actually, prior to all this taking place today, I saw posts in the Larshiders group. First thing that I noticed, a lot of people are suddenly offering tickets for sale for tomorrow's game. That's not I'm going to say completely surprising. A Monday night game is a tough one. Right. That found interesting. But then there was the conversation of, so how do we approach chanting? And I think I'm not going to suggest anyone was saying anything otherwise, but most are saying we need to be positive. Let's cheer on the boys. Thank you, Edler. But the fact that the conversation has to be, how do we approach this situation?
Yeah.
I think is a good indicator that even some of the most positive fans, I'm not saying this is specific, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just how, like, we're kind of confused.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. Obviously, having been to games before with Larshiders, I am going tomorrow. I just want to say I was selling my tickets for the game right before Christmas, but I was not one trying to offload.
Well, you have an excuse.
Yeah, I will not be in the country.
But you weren't selling, like, it's the Monday night ticket. Like, all of a sudden, there's a ton of tickets for sale, but it was the Monday night tickets after the Saturday game. It's not like midweek people are like, oh, I got tickets for Monday. Who wants them? It's, hey, on Sunday, who wants tickets for Monday? I got some.
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, you'll always find people who are willing to go to the game. Like, even in the direst of Canucks days, I will always go to the game, especially if it's free. But, like, I'm not going to go and pay a bunch of money to go and see a team that's not even willing to show change, right? So I completely understand the frustration. And yeah, as much as Larshiders are, in partnership with the Canucks is trying to create a better atmosphere, you can't ignore what's going on at the same time. If the whole arena is chanting "Fire Benning,"
well, see, there was one person who's like, "Oh, if we need to drown them out," and like, "Oh, good luck."
Yeah,
Larshiders are loud, but if the rest of the barn gets behind something, your best is just to sort of take that beer, give her a chug, wait for your moment to throw the counter punch. But it doesn't occur to me that that's going to happen. At least it would be kind of weird if they were asking for such changes after what we now think. And again, half full, half empty. We'll be able to hopefully confirm it have happened. But I don't want to be so negative. This is the C4 Canucks Playoffs podcast. We need to be positive here. Quinn Hughes got himself a game.
Yeah. I feel like, I don't want to say Quinn Hughes is back, but Quinn Hughes is back, baby. Like, on this sinking ship, he's a little life raft.
The 4 apples he got, allowed for. So this is, Canucks have been missing that sort of playmaking defenseman. I would have to say since maybe like Ehrhoff. Like, have they had anyone between Quinn and not really? I'm not, and this is not a knock against like, you know, a good Edler or Ham Hughes. That's not what the rules were.
Yeah, and they also did have their moments, right? But as far as like consistently producing as a playmaker, yeah, no.
Yeah, that was, you know, Christian Ehrhoff filled that role for the Vancouver Canucks, and here we are, you know, a decade later.
Yeah,
give or take a couple of years, and we've got Quinn. But I don't know if it was that he had sort of found a kink in his game that he needed to work out, but he has seemingly refound his confidence. And that does bode well for a Vancouver Canucks blue line that hasn't been providing the offensive contribution that it needed to make up for the fact that the Canucks blue line just hasn't been good at being defensive in nature. When your defenders don't defend, well, okay, I'm going to qualify this. I actually saw a stat. 5-on-5, they're actually not that bad.
Yeah, but the problem is you keep giving up penalties.
Yeah, they're 4-on-4. They're in like the low 60s. Like when you're getting close to throwing up your first 50, you're 5 on that board. Oh man, that's bad. But the Vancouver Canucks defensively just have not been sound. So if they can make up for that with offensive contribution in so much as what we've seen from Quinn, great. So yeah, I like this, and you know, one might suggest that Podkolzin still has a give a shiznit meter. I mean, kid notched the only goal the Canucks got against the Pens. Drawing penalties. He's
messy as it was. Like, yeah.
Hey, what's that saying about the score sheet?
They don't draw pictures on the score sheet.
Damn straight. I saw you tweet that too. I just want to, give you a nod.
I mean, I
know it's not your saying, but I know you own it.
The great damn ham use, obviously.
Mm-hmm. But no, the Vancouver Canucks they've got some potential. And as rumors have it, they won big in Abbotsford. Jack Rathbone, now new president of hockey operations. But I wonder if regime change will also start to see, I was going to say not a rebuild, a retool, which is actually kind of dirty, but the opportunity to see more of the younger players that are developing in Abbotsford get an opportunity in Vancouver. And I'm not talking about the Hammocks.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's injured now anyway. Took a shot to the arm for the first time in his life. Finally.
Finally.
But yeah, it's true. Like, I'm pretty much officially done with him. I would love to see some more, like, creativity, especially on the blue line, because how much worse can it get?
Not particularly. On the Hamonic note, was there ever any explanation as to why the Vancouver Canucks called him up for 2 hours?
No, I mean, that seems like besides the point at this stage. Now we're looking down the barrel of a whole new, front office and behind the bench stuff, but it was a bit bizarre. Maybe they sort of thought they would give him a game. Maybe there was a game time decision on a player, but
maybe, but it's just so because occasionally there's the paper transactions where it's just a formality. But with Hamonic, I don't think there's really any papering taking place. You called him up for 2 hours to send him back down. Like the fact that the Canucks PR account tweets out, Hamonic has been recalled. It makes sense. Canucks have got home. He would not have gone on the road because of allegedly vaccination stuff. Only to see him then be reassigned. It's weird.
Yeah.
Anyhow, here's what it is.
Strange.
Yeah, well, looking ahead at the Vancouver Canucks schedule, we have absolutely no idea who's going to be officially behind the bench tomorrow night. Where is Boudreau coming from?
I mean, he has probably been hanging out at, the Shark Club for the last couple weeks.
Oh, man. See, this is the thing, though, is if Bruce was in town, I would have presumed someone would have seen him.
It's
Vancouver
true.
Canucks people, fans, they see things. I mean, Vancouver sports fans see things. And so it just feels to me that if Bruce was in town, there would have been some smoke. Now, if he's not in town and he's coming to town, he would have had to have started that journey today. Like, flights aren't what they used to be. Like, you can't just hop on a plane and get there because there's all sorts of things at play. I know he's Canadian.
At least we'll know if he does get on a plane real fast that he's double vaccinated.
That's a good sign. But, the point being is that if for some reason you can't make it to Vancouver for a Monday night game with the city, we officially, who knows what's going on? Maybe that's what the team's waiting for. They'll officially announce it Monday from the airport.
Yeah.
As he's getting off the plane or something like that.
But, I mean, seriously, who took morning skate? I guess they had a day off today, did they?
Sure. I mean, but that's the other screwy thing. I don't think I saw any news about whether or not that was the case. It's just weird. A weird state of affairs for the Vancouver Canucks. A series of weird events. We'll get into it again in Half-Empty in a moment. But I did want to take a moment to sort of look ahead at the schedule. Despite not knowing who's going to be coaching or possibly in the front office, the Vancouver Canucks have 4 games between now and our next episode. All 4 of those games at home, 4 in the middle of a 6-game home stand. We obviously see the LA Kings in town where Edler gets hopefully a loud cheer for finally scoring his 100th.
Yeah, he did it at last. There was a couple of false starts. But
to get the thank you Eddie chant going. You've got the Boston Bruins coming to town, which maybe the guy who was wearing the Marchand jersey at the Pittsburgh game got a little confused that he thought it was Boston, not Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I mean, I got confused in the yeah, I saw that. I get confused sometimes when I look up at the TV and I see black and gold and I'm just immediately feel hatred in my heart, and then I say, it's just the Pens.
But you got Boston on Wednesday, and because obviously, I'm going to presume it's the Eastern market. The Canucks game starts at 6 p.m. Pacific on Wednesday at home.
Yeah, I mean, they must have done studies at this point that the 1 hour time difference works, but apparently it does. So
yeah. But then you have the Winnipeg Jets coming to town on a Friday night, and they got to play at 7. So apparently, if you're the Boston Bruins, you get the hour. But if you're from Winnipeg, no one really cares.
I think that might be true for outside of hockey as well, to be fair.
Yeah. And then on Sunday, it's the Carolina Hurricanes in for a 7 p.m. start on a Sunday. See, the Sunday game I could have seen being early or whatever because UST
that
does
often
crazy
happens.
things.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, the game I went to was a Sunday and it was a 5 o'clock start. So, crazier things have happened. But looking ahead, I mean, can we even guess how the Canucks are going to perform? I'll be honest. Had no changes happened tonight, I would have just presumed the Canucks were going to lose 4.
4 in a row? Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'd say they'd win one of them probably against the Jets. But now that changes have happened, it's honestly completely out the window. They could continue to nosedive because of all the uncertainty. Mm-hmm. They could have the whole dead cat bounce thing. So
yeah, I have no idea what to expect. And I mean, maybe I'm being facetious when I could see them losing 4, which is wrong because this is a playoffs podcast. But okay, maybe the Jets, but even then, the Jets just seem like they're a better team. That's sad to say.
I mean, they are, but Canucks have a way of just randomly getting a win out of nowhere, so.
True that. Anyway, time will tell, as we said. We'll be back again next week where I will be. You're going off to places beyond, so you'll have to join me and our special guest co-host that will fill in and keep your seat warm for an episode while you are away.
Figuratively, I hope.
Figuratively, not literally. That would be really weird when they join me. If I happen to see the same view that you have right now, I'll let you know that they broke in.
Please do.
But you're listening to the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast, brought to you by the Full Press Coverage Network and CanucksHockeyBlog.com.
Take hitting out of the game. You can't hit anymore, so don't do it.
The unsportsmanlike conduct, I want to get an explanation on that.
No kidding.
Because how do you get suspended for unsportsmanlike conduct?
Plus interference. There's no interference there. He had the puck.
Now, Madison never ever did that before. Now, why did he do it? And that because he was mad.
Well, your early favorite for the Calder Trophy, that's for sure. Elias Pettersson, you might even say your early favorite for the Hart Trophy.
Just to get back to your question, Elias is going to play plenty. He didn't play. He's going to get a lot of power play time. And, yeah, I'm concerned about our offense. We lost 200-point players, and we've got to find a way to score.
Can we say it's official now?
I think
Is there enough smoke and therefore flames? Just recap quickly. Late afternoon, early evening. I don't know how you want to slice it. Word comes out that Boudreau is the next coach of the Vancouver Canucks. I think it was Friedman that tweeted this.
Yeah,
out.
and it's Friedman, right?
Yeah, I mean, Friedman is not one that you would doubt, especially when he throws names on something. And so suddenly people are like, what? First of all, I don't think anyone honestly believed change would happen. At least not right yet. I don't think anyone out there, they might have thought it will, just not now.
Yeah.
Me included.
Yeah, me included. We both said New Year, right?
Yeah. Then when Bruce Boudreau's name comes out, people are like, what? So immediately it's like, holy heck, first of all, if this is true, and it likely is, why is this coming out this way? And currently Travis Green is still technically under the employ. But what do people immediately think? Well, the Vancouver Canucks, completely, did Green dirty, which is interesting because, I like Travis. I think he has been done dirty by the organization. He's been the face that has been trotted out for all sorts of different situations that frankly were above his pay grade. And it's not surprising that somehow this is what would happen. But what was concerning was that it was Travis. How the heck does Jim Benning survive this? Because again, why would word of a new coach come out before a new GM? So this then kicks off people what the heck's going on? How does Jim? Someone actually said Jim has nudes. Maybe he does. But the point is that there was something going on that made no sense until such time as I think it was Drager, or it might have been.
I think Earth was the first one to report it. But yeah,
that there's more to this story, and there are more changes to come. And then I know Earth was the first one to say Benning's out. In fact, I think he said Benning and Weisbrod was out, which then begged the question: okay, if they're out, who's in? Because again, you generally don't go and hire a coach that you foist upon a general manager. Teams will usually allow their general manager that they hire to make that decision. I understand it's not always the way things work in the business world. I have been in work for companies that hire a new CEO or someone at the top, and then they do their evaluation and they bring in their own people. Changes happen at that point. You sort of inherit what's already there. But that's the thing. You don't go and hire the vice president and then say, hey, president, here's the VP for you.
Yeah, I mean, apparently the new 2-year plan is to give Boudreau a 2-year contract, and then after that, maybe the new era begins. Because
but this.
Otherwise, what the heck are you doing? What GM wants to, especially Bruce Boudreau, that is a huge personality. I can understand why that's a good coaching change, because that's such a strong personality to come into the dressing room if you need your players to, get a kick up the backside. But Bruce Boudreau might even, physically do it. No, sorry, that's not a funny joke to make, considering what's actually happened in the real world. It would be funny if it just didn't literally happen. But that's such a strong personality to bring in. How can a new GM start his own plan with Boudreau as the coach?
Well, I don't know. I mean, let's go back a few years. Let's say Gillis and AV got let go at the same time. And the team hires Tortorella as head coach. I mean, that still plays out. And then they bring in someone like Trevor or Jim.
Right.
I think Torts is still gone. The difference here was that Gillis was the one who brought in the coach. They did their evaluation and then they replaced him with Willie. But it's just a weird situation. You generally allow that evaluation to take place. This situation is a little bit different. You're actually emptying the front office and saying, here's the coach we want. Unless they already know who they are going to hire.
Yeah, and they're just not available yet, or for whatever reason, which may be because they're still employed by another team, or maybe because they have other obligations. But it doesn't seem like we're going to get a new GM this week, a new permanent GM.
Word has it that it's going to be a collaborative approach. So Chris Gear was the first name that came out as an interim GM. You have spoken kindly of Chris Gear on our show.
Yeah, I mean, very complimentary about his contract work.
Yeah, it's sort of, I should have qualified that, but that's what I was, meaning. But that then raised the question, like, why are you hiring Bruce? Like, no problem having Chris be the interim GM with your existing, like, it's kind of weird, but okay. But now it's come out that it's not just Chris Gear that's going to be doing it. No. It is going to be the likes of Chris Gear, Ryan Johnson, Henrik Sedin, Daniel Sedin, and Stan Smeel. I wonder if the five of them have like a vote.
Hockey is a team sport.
So is the front office, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, in fairness, the Henrik Daniel roles, assistants to the advisors to the whatever, I don't know what the official titles are. There ain't no way, though, that they were going to be, quote unquote, let go. That wasn't happening.
No, obviously not. Can you imagine?
Ryan Johnson. Oh, God. They laid fire to the building if that was the case. I mean, they already did Linden dirty. Like, ownership would have to sell the team. I actually genuinely believe this. If they were to go and do that to the Sedins at this point, there would be no way to recover. But Ryan Johnson, I actually think would be a good candidate for a general manager. Whether or not that's in Vancouver, I do not know. But he has done well in his role with the baby Canucks, previously Utica, now in Abbotsford.
Yeah.
Stan Smeal's an interesting one. This is a guy who's been, I mean, I have nothing against Stan. I truly don't. It's just Stan is part of the era of Vancouver Canucks legends, quote unquote legends, who have jobs for life.
Yeah, I mean, I like Stan Smeel as a personality. It's just hard to say what he does.
Well, now he collaboratively advises Chris Gear, Ryan Johnson, Henrik Sedin, Daniel Sedin.
Yeah. And by the way,
in the words of Ian McIntyre, that's a pretty good group.
Certainly a lot of hockey experience in there. And yeah, it's not to say anything disparaging about Stan Smeel, but it's just like, what does he actually do day to day? I don't know. Like, that's hard to quantify.
He used to be in charge of the scouting. Well, no, he wasn't. That was, I'm mixing him up with another Canucks legend, Delorme. Stan Smeel was involved in scouting, but I don't think he was in charge of it. I think that was always Delorme. But anyway, I could be confused. Stan has had essentially a job with the Canucks since he skated for them.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I mean, maybe this is a hockey thing that I just don't relate to because I did not play hockey growing up professionally and what have you. It's just, it's the job for life part that kind of confuses me. Anywho, what does this all mean for the Vancouver Canucks? Who knows? It is just such a mess. I was actually chatting with a friend of mine about the game on Monday. Who's going to be behind the bench? Who's upstairs? Is there anyone? How does the team approach this? Like, ownership has created the situation for themselves.
Yeah. Plain and simple. I mean, Yeah, I think it's crazy to think about now, like all the people that have taken the fall over the years for Canucks failings. And not to say they don't deserve some part of the blame, especially Jim Benning, but allowing Jim Benning to be in this job as long as he has been, like, what would you do if you were Jim Benning in this situation? You're going to go all out to make the playoffs. Screw the future. You need to save your job. Ownership set up that situation. And Travis Green was not put in a position to succeed because of management. And management, you could argue, not in a position to succeed because of the interference of the ownership. So it does come back.
Well, yeah, it does come to the top. And in this conversation, the question that come up, do you think the Aquilinis are now possibly looking at an exit strategy? I honestly believe as long as there is land that can be developed around Rogers Arena, the Aquilinis are not the family to go and exit the team. And if one were to suggest, well, Chris, they're out of land to develop, those viaducts are coming down at some point. I mean, the city of Vancouver has talked about this for some time. And when they do, there is land there that those viaducts currently are over top of that can be developed. Like, I just feel that as a development company, the Aquilini family sees this as their meat and potatoes. And the Vancouver Canucks are just the nice sort of sparkly thing that they get to showcase.
Yeah, and I would also say don't underestimate the male ego. Like, Canucks are a vanity project for sure. And anytime they have like success, it does.
Oh, they love it.
Yeah, right. It's, you know,
get the family. Well, this is the thing though. And we've had a discussion in C4 Discord with a few people, and we've heard things. Does the Aquilini family as a whole concern itself well with the Vancouver Canucks, or is it more of a project for one of the members of the family?
I mean, yes, for sure, but
I'm not taking away the vanity, the male ego part. That is all true. I think everyone loves it when the Canucks are doing well.
Yeah,
the Aquilini brand gets some good press. I don't believe the family is as keen on the Aquilini brand getting not good press, because that just goes into many of the other areas they get not good press with. They don't need this additional noisy one.
Right. But could you just say it's kind of the same thing of like, if they don't understand what's going on, then that's like willful neglect almost. Like, if they're just letting Francesco do what he wants with the team, then have they ignored everything that's happening for 8 years? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, we've talked about this ourselves many, many times since this show has been around. The Vancouver Canucks had an absentee owner in John McCaw.
Mm-hmm.
They do not have anything close to an absentee owner right now, despite us potentially saying that maybe they're allowing things to get crazy as they are as a sort of family entity. But so long as the family or a member of the family is pretty much in the locker room.
Yeah.
At some point in time, we'll find this sort of medium between the John McCaws and the...
That's the thing. I dream of an absentee owner at this point.
Well, and I mean, you've obviously seen, coming from the old country, different types of ownership structures.
Yeah.
So,
like, I think the Colorado Avalanche, and even more than that, the Rams, a far more interesting prospect to the Cronkies than Arsenal ever will be. So, absentee owners, we are familiar.
Yeah. Anywho, is what it is. What will Jim Benning be remembered for?
The legacy of Jim Benning. What is that? The bubble. Dyeing his hair. Day by day.
Not even credit for players that were drafted during his front office tenure?
Sure. Some credit for that.
I actually think it comes down to whether or not the Canucks actually see sustained success with the likes of Petey and Brock and Thatcher. Thatcher, who had to go on after hours, and it looked like when they started that segment, his soul had been sucked from his body.
Yeah. He's just, in his mind, he is surfing in San Diego.
I actually commented, I'm like, man, it looks like Thatcher's seen some shiznit. And Pet Bugs replied, he's like, you tried goaltending behind Tyler Myers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just one period of goaltending behind Tyler Myers would be enough to send you into some kind of trauma.
Yeah. But, to my point, though, if we don't see a sustained period of success from this team with that core, these are just young players that didn't pan out with Canucks jerseys on.
Don't forget the names that you are not mentioning during the Jim Benning era. Ollie Levy, Jake Vatanen, Jared McCann.
Jared got himself, was it a Hattie, I think?
Yeah, sustained success, just not in a Canucks jersey.
True. Well, yeah. Travis Green. Did Travis get a fair shot in Vancouver?
No.
I know there's people who listen to our show. They've not been fans of Travis. I'll admit, I think there are. I look back, and I was probably not big on the AV era because AV was boring. But then Travis Green was probably more boring. But I can at least say that Travis never really got the opportunity to be boring with greatness that AV had the opportunity of being. I think, Mark Crawford's as a coach and as a person has issues, some of which he has acknowledged and said he is sorting out. I can't tell you whether or not that's true or not. But the era that he had coached and the style that he coached, that's, I think, what I liked the most. But then you could also argue, Chris, that doesn't get you a cup either. Yeah, true. Boring was the one that almost got us there.
It's true. By the way, to say definitively that Travis Green did not get a fair shot in Vancouver, I think that's, definitively true, but that's not to say he's an excellent coach. I just think we never got to quite find out just how good or bad he was. He had his issues for sure.
I think Travis Green gets another head coaching job before Jim Benning gets another GM spot. Yeah,
his reputation is definitely less tarnished. But that's the...
And actually, I should say NHL. Travis might get a job in, let's say, the A, but I could see Travis getting another shot in the NHL as a head coach well before Jim gets a G. I don't genuinely believe Jim Benning did himself any favors and would look to get another job in the NHL as a GM.
100% true. But, I also can see, why Travis had to be fired. He might be the fall guy, but gravity exists. You got to fall.
Yeah. It's just, again, it's a complete mess. And what did we learn? Well, if you chant loud enough in a building to get rid of your general manager, the current ownership group of the Vancouver Canucks will make that happen. 2 times it has occurred, and both days later, changes have happened. Alternatively, apparently throwing your jersey on an ice at a game is also enough to garner attention. It's interesting to see people taking that as the thing more than the chant, but whatever. The point is, changes are happening. Oh, aren't you glad you're getting a break from all this?
Yeah, just as I am heading home, I am heading, England cricket heading into a pretty doomed Ashes series. So, and I'm going to be going to a few Arsenal games. So, I can't escape sports trauma. It's happening.
I would love to go to an Arsenal match. Even win, lose, I don't care because I don't support them, but I just love to be part of the experience.
If we are ever in the UK at the same time, I will take you.
Okay. Well, I'll hold you to that. Now, whether or not we'll ever be in the UK at the same time, likely. very slim to none. But speaking of your departure, I had contemplated recording solo. I truly did. I was like, I can do it. I can talk for an hour. I like the sound of my own voice. I've proven that I can do it for half an hour at minimum, just rambling on with an OTR. But I decided, no, our listeners deserve more than just me. And let's be honest, I need someone to carry me because I'm a pretty dead weight.
Wow.
So I've lined up a pretty solid special guest host to fill in next episode, which will be back to its regular time. So this episode will be I'm talking about will be recorded on the 13th of December, going live on the 14th. I'm not going to tell you who the guest is yet. Anna, you know, but our listeners, they don't know yet.
I know.
I am in the process of lining up another guest host. This one for the episode that we'll record on the 20th, go live on the 21st. Because again, you're gone for a period of time. And that too will be a person I will share with you when we record. But I got a pretty solid guest host nonetheless, or guest hosts, who knows? I shouldn't say it's just one person. It could be two, it could be more.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Keep guessing.
But are you going to miss me, Anna?
Desperately.
I know. That's the effect I have on everyone.
I'm gonna miss you like I miss Jim Benning.
Oh, that means so much to me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but outside of seeing your family, going to a couple Arsenal matches, watching the Ashes, just going to go home and lay low?
Yeah, I mean, that's about the sum of it. There's been several changes in the last week or so to all the different COVID protocols that I have to go through in order to get home. So laying low will definitely be a part of it. But yeah, it's Christmas. So trying to see a few folks. I am actually going to the glamorous Stoke-on-Trent for 2 days to hang.
Stoke-on-Trent?
Yeah.
Is Trent a river?
Trent's a river. Good job. You know how that works.
Okay.
Stoke is basically halfway between Birmingham and Manchester. Is the best way to describe it. So
is there something special about Stoke-on-Trent?
It's where one of my university friends lives with her young kiddo, who I have not met. So
well, there you go.
A couple of us uni buddies will be hanging out there doing some Christmassy stuff. So yeah.
That sounds like fun.
It'll be good.
Probably far more adventurous than anything that I'll be doing here, staying home and all.
Yeah.
But then I'm home and all. You're having to travel to go home.
Yeah, so
the first time in forever.
First time in forever, so I am looking forward to it for sure.
Do you plan on staying up late to watch any Vancouver Canucks games?
We'll see.
I mean, it's one thing to have done it previously. It's another thing to be doing it now. But if you do, and you have something you wish to say, please record it, send it to me so I could drop it in the show.
Yeah, it'll be just me whispering into my iPhone so as not to wake up the family.
Oh, you could record it during more reasonable times and then send it my way. It doesn't have to be in the moment. Hey, guys, I'm recording a little show here, and I saw that Brock Besser did some crazy stuff, but I can't say it too loudly right now.
That was a really dumb penalty.
Yeah, but it'll be cool to have you involved in some way, shape, or form while you're gone. You'll be back with me in the new year, right? You plan on coming back to Canada?
Yeah, so long as everything works out COVID-wise and they don't keep me stuck in the UK, yes, I am still planning to be here in the new year.
I mean, we can obviously make it work from a distance, but the logistics and time zones will make that a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, so hopefully, all being well, I will return.
But as we look to wrap things up, just a reminder that you want to take part in the conversation in C4 Discord. It's discord.io/C4 podcast. Obviously, all the conversation takes place there. I'm not with it enough to fire up Twitter spaces, but there's plenty of those already around by every other Canucks podcast and non-Canucks podcast out there. I like the concept. I truly think it's cool. It's just, I can't whip something together. I'm old. Forgive me.
We know this.
It's been a while, though, since we had a text message or a voicemail on the C4 text line. That number is 604-200-6201. That's 604-200-6201. I'd like to say we're the only Canucks podcast with a phone number out there, but that would be a lie.
Yeah, turns
I noticed
out
that Roxy Fever
Roxy
has
Fever.
been doing one.
I think the Crease Cast also has a phone number, so.
Man. See, look at that. C4 sets the bar, and then people start raising it.
Yep. Jumping on the bandwagon.
But no, I mean, obviously, we want to get you, our listeners, involved. And then the other thing that you can do to get involved is leave us a review, because we will read it verbatim. Like verbatim. Good, bad, or indifferent. We will read it verbatim. I have still yet, in all the podcasts that I record, someone that left a review that was simply a plug to their own show. Because if I'm going to read it verbatim, in theory, free advertising.
True.
Unless you trust the process.
Yeah.
They're dead to us.
Dead to us, obviously. But, if I'm going to be getting my voice notes on the show, like, throw some competition in there. Mm-hmm. And Chris will, maybe I'll get bumped for a particularly good listener voicemail. So,
yeah, true that. And I'd bump you, and then I would hear all about it upon your return.
Mm-hmm. From me and my mom.
Hi, Anna's mom. Anywho, what final words of wisdom do you have for all of our listeners this week, Anna?
I was going to go bleak and cynical, but you know what? I'm not going to. I'm going to just, I was thinking today when all this craziness was going down of our dear friend, the late Jason Botchford, and what he would have thought of it all. And one of the last things he did say to us through the armies was, I can't wait for it to go the other way. And if this is the first step in it going the other way, then it's a positive day.
That's very, very good final words of wisdom. It somewhat beat mine. I can't say I put this together. Someone else did, but just want to quote a few lines here. Still don't know what I was waiting for, and my time was running wild. A million dead-end streets, and every time I thought I got it made, it seemed the taste was not so sweet. So I turned myself to face me, but I've never caught a glimpse how the others must see the faker. I'm much too fast to take that test. Changes.
Good job.
David Bowie.
Another great, we know.
Anna, safe travels.
Thank you.
Obviously, I want you to have a great time home. It's been a long time, so you live it up. Again, hi, Anna's mom. Take care of Anna. I need her back on the show.
Thanks.
But it'll be good to see you again in next year.
Yeah.
I was going to say in a year's time, but that'd be a lie. It is next year that I'll see you. So on behalf of Anna, A460, myself, Chris at Lightforce, this is the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast, signing off from the Full Press Coverage Network and CanucksHockeyBlog.com with We Out.